Good morning, everybody. My name is George Higbee. I have a YouTube vlog that I call The Antique Nomad. I am usually talking about things like the pretty orange vases that we have on the mantle here that belong to my technical partner's great-grandmother and things like that. However, we have a much more serious thing to talk about today. The house that his great-grandmother lived in before she died is flattened and no more this morning because we had a serious, huge tornado hit our town last night. We've been around to survey some of the damage and make sure that the neighbors and family are safe. You can see out the window here that we have most of the trees down in the neighbor's yard. One narrowly missed the house where she sleeps, on the end that she has her bedroom. We were spared any real damage. Our side of town was not hit as bad as the other side. We'll show you more. We were fortunate enough to have a neighbor with a basement. I saw on AccuWeather last night that the tornado was headed in our direction at a speed of 45 to 65 miles per hour. We had enough time to grab our most important stuff and to put it away and get in the basement and hide. I have to be cautious. There are power lines down, there are phone lines down, and we are not in the area where the worst damage was. I mentioned that my friend's great-grandmother's house that she lived in her whole life is no more. The devastation across the street from his grandfather's house was terrible. We will get over there again. There's family over there that took shelter in a neighbor's basement, including his 94-year-old grandfather. So they're okay, but this town is not. We were very fortunate that our house and workhouse were both spared any damage. Pretty amazing considering the scene across the street from us and the other scenes in town. There is traffic over the old bridge here in Dawson Springs, Kentucky, and that's good news, so the two sides of town are not severed from each other. This is Zito Morstad and stepmom's house. They're okay. Their gate fell down. One of their dogs took off. The flagpole fell, but the house is made of stone, and the stone and brick houses seem to have fared the best in this. Oh good, they came home.
Yes.
This house is 3 doors down. It is a total loss, as you can see. Nobody was in this house at the time of the tornado. You can just squeeze through here, so we still have passability. I am staying at the house while they go to the granddad's house, which was severely damaged, and he lives in the block that was the most affected from what we could tell by this. There are several houses that are just completely gone there. I'm going to stay and hold the fort while they go check in on family and see how they're doing this morning. You can hear from the wind chime that we're still having wind. We had straight line winds after the tornado and thunder and lightning all night long. So the people who did have missing roofs or open holes in their houses have a real mess on their hands. And this town already had a lot of post-industrial problems. This is going to be devastating. Kids' toys blew all the way to the old bottling company. This is an industrial site. There's no children anywhere near this place. I have to say I'm really grateful and thankful for the fact that we were spared, because there is a lot of devastation in Dawson Springs, Kentucky this morning. And for my regular viewers, I'm sure a lot of people who don't usually watch are going to see this, but for my regular viewers, so far the workhouse is fine. The merchandise I've been selling on my live sales is all there. Your shipments may be delayed a few days, but and I don't think we're having today's sale because there's no power. So this is downtown Dawson Springs this morning, and the tornado did do some damage. Unfortunately, the building it seems to have damaged the most is the day block, which is the newly painted and just renovated building right there on the corner, but you can see up on the roof it tore up the upper decoration. Strangely enough, the Christmas decorations all seem to be fine. It's very random. You can see that this place, which is now Redemption City, which is a Christian-based gathering spot, a place that gives out free stuff, which, boy, we're going to need here, I'm sure. Well, it used to be the Ben Franklin, and you can tell because the awning has fallen and the fascia that had the old Ben Franklin sign is gone, so now you can see it again. This building, which I have looked at with consideration of buying, seems to be okay. A piece of another building seems to be laying in front of it. Dawson Springs Police and Fire are here. They've been open since 10:15 last night, shortly after the tornado hit. Some people have gone there for shelter. We went there to report a big gas leak where we think a house used to be, and the big gas main was just spewing gas last night. These folks have already opened up to give free water and food, which is a wonderful thing here at Apex Cleaning. I've got some extra food. Thankfully, last year a lot of us prepared because of what happened then. There was some brick loss to some of the old buildings. A lot of these old buildings are in some state of disrepair. So the fact that none of them actually fell during this event is pretty amazing, because we've had 2 fall in the last year just from age and decrepitness. All right, let's walk through this carefully, just make sure. This is the museum's thrift store, which is a place I frequent. We've got some nails sticking up here out of this old, feels like this might be part of the old tin roof from the 1890s. I see these little medallions sticking in here. This place just sold to a couple from Spokane who are hoping to come open a bakery. They actually saw my video on this town saying, gee, the buildings are cheap, you should come here and open a business. I guess it's a good thing everybody didn't rush to do that right away. I suspect there'll be a lot of money and help coming to this town, hopefully. We were part of a string of towns in western Kentucky that were all hit. It went right up the freeway. The nursing home seems to be okay and running on generator, which is good news, because that would be just a terrible thing. A nursing home in Arkansas was just devastated by the same tornado waves that came through here. We've got a crate here. I guess I can pick this up and take it away. While I'm at it, we're all going to have a lot of debris. You can see one of the lampposts here has been exploded and is laying on the ground here, or at least the lamp light. I'm going to see if I can't safely get the big piece out of the way as well, so no one loses a tire on this. I'm walking in front of the Dawson Springs garage, which was the old Chevy dealer. They just renovated this here. A lot of the vehicles are out today because they didn't have any radio communication last night, so a lot of people are just discovering this morning if they slept through it or they weren't able to get into town. I don't know how clear things are now. Last night we could only drive a certain amount of time until we hit down tower lines, and then we had to get out and try to carefully walk around them to get to where Xenomorph's family is. I hope somebody is able to get a message through to the train, or that they're driving through here very slowly, because the trees are all the way across the track here, and this is one of the main lines of the CSX system in this area. Well, the city water and sewer is on site here. We're just down from the water tower. I think you can see that. I was just talking to the neighbors down there, and near where Xenomorph's grandfather lives, they know that there have been some casualties and deaths. We do expect that there will be more. Unfortunately, there are some houses and trailers that do not exist anymore. I am just gonna do what we humans do, which is try to pick up the pieces and move on. This guy from the city's trying to move this tree. I think I'll see if I can help him. Well, the guy from the city said that the Trover Clinic was destroyed and that the area by Zeno's grandparents' house was indeed the worst hit part of town. So that's where they're putting a lot of the emphasis. As for here, this is the extent of any serious damage. We lost one piece of the fence here. Looks like it could be put back in, so we were extraordinarily lucky. Our neighbor had some damage to his roof, although minor, and look, he got a new boat in the deal, so I guess he came out even. Everybody has new stuff today because it blew down the street from somewhere else. When they get back, I'm going to try to take my van down to the area where his grandfather lives. The mom and the grandfather are still out there, and I want to see how they're doing. And unfortunately, that's where the devastation was the worst, so we'll show you what that looks like. I'm going to see if we've gotten any phone service back, because I'm sure my family are freaking out, wondering what happened to me. I have no way to communicate with the outside world. In this era of computer technology, we definitely are spoiled. And everything, it turns out, relies on newfangled things that require power and service that we don't have today. It says no service still, so all right. Well, in the meantime, it's 8:20 in the morning now. People are waking up to the disaster that happened here, and I am unpacking the things that seem very important to take last night in the 5 minutes I had to grab things before we ran to the basement next door. I took my computer, I took whatever cash I had, my checkbooks, and somehow a Pandora bracelet, because there's nothing like looking good when you're in a natural disaster, I guess. I don't know what I was thinking there. Okay, so Zeno's got his grandfather's car, which is intact, although very dirty and a little scraped. Yes, my van just got a few little scrapes of branches across it. His grandfather's car, on the other hand, though, we've got to figure out what to do about this window, which took a branch through it, but at least it's intact and still running. I got part of the branch out. You can see more of the branch in the bottom there. But this car will live to see another day. His stepfather's car may be totaled. At some time I'll have to go to my storehouse. It's in a town about 20 minutes away from here. And it, I don't believe, was in the path of the tornado. Of course, we're without power, so we have no news. Oh, look, food came from the car.
These are what we're going to live on for the next week.
Yeah, well, okay. Yeah, well, maybe. Looks like the neighbors are okay. This house is not okay. Well, this guy may still be hard at it with the chainsaw, but we can get around here at least. There we go. Oh yeah, he's being very diligent. That's very kind of him. You know, everyone's coming out and trying to do what they can. We picked up our little bit of debris in our yard, which was not much considering how bad this was. So now I'm going to go see where we were last night when we went to check in on his family, and boy, was it bad up there. So we'll see what it looks like by daylight. They've already got the garbage trucks out, which means that there's a lot of debris. Oh, and one of them is from Madisonville, which is the county seat about 25 miles away. So they're sending reinforcements, it looks like. I presume the post office is going to be closed. You can tell it's still windy. The flag was already at half-mast for Bob Dole. Well, now we have our own reasons. This is the Mexican restaurant, and thankfully that's just a false front. I've been told it's okay to drive over the power lines because everything is dead right now. Again, a lot of false fronts fell off a lot of buildings. The auction house seems fine, but then when we go beyond it, this building, the discount grocery store, is really crushed. Driving over more down power lines, it's a little frightening, but hey, you know what? Again, they're all dead. But wow, this is just crazy bad. All right, well, here's where the devastation is really bad. This is the city park. You can see most of the trees have been lost to this. We've got some flattened buildings here. Metal buildings do not do well, and unfortunately, because this area is an area that is post-industrial, a lot of metal buildings, but look at the houses. This is where it really went through town, and this is really quite overawing. We're headed to where Zeno's grandfather lives. He lives this direction. The top of the hill here is where things took the biggest hit. I mean, this entire section of town looks like a loss. Dozens of structures that are damaged beyond repair. That was the pool house. That is no longer. I'm sure some people will think I'm irresponsible for coming out in the middle of this, but you know, this is the closest thing I have to family in this area are these folks, and I've got to see how they're doing and what's left. It doesn't look like a lot. Well, now I really appreciate how truly fortunate we were. Just look at this. It's insane, the amount of devastation. I've got to be careful not to drive over anything that's going to puncture a tire. We don't need one more damaged vehicle or anything sitting around, so I'm going to let these folks go first. I know it seems crazy that I'm going this way, but this is where Zeno's grandfather's house is. And I would be so scared to go under these lines, but I've already been told there's nothing live, so I'm just going to do it. This is a very freaky experience here. This is Alexander Street in Dawson Springs, Kentucky, or what is left of it. This is where the tornado did the most devastation. His grandfather and they sheltered in this house here, which has a basement. It's damaged, but it's still standing. His grandfather's house and the neighboring house are still standing. This is the family home from decades ago. They've lived here since the 1950s. And this is the scene across the street. This used to be the great-grandmother's house. She passed on years ago. Thankfully, the guys who live in it now were somehow able to survive through this collapsing over them. I guess they were in that one area there in the middle, and they and their dog are fine. We don't know how the people in these other houses are doing. And we do know there were a couple people living in trailers, and the trailers are gone. His grandfather's house took it really bad on the two corners here. You can see the tree came through one corner of the house. We will go in there later to see what can be salvaged. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of damage to the property, but we've got to figure out how to try to seal it off. Funnily enough, the shed, and most of the outbuildings in the area were destroyed, but the shed in this case is fine. So I guess we're going to lock that up. And then this corner of the house, the back end of the house, really took the most abuse. And you can see we've got a hole there as well. I'm sure there will be a curfew here tonight. We don't really need any help in terms of people coming here at this point. We've got to just sort this out and get people to safe haven and secure things, and then we will go from there. So my goodness, this poor town, we have a lot of work to do to get over this one. That's Zeno's mom recovering stuff from the car. The car looks like it may be a total loss. It got spun around in the tornado. Well, this is the inside of Bill's living room. And boy, yeah, we're going to have to seal it off at the doorway here as best as we can, I think. There's really nothing we can do about that. This room, I think we can seal this room off. So we'll be able to do something about this. Maybe we can store some things in here while we figure out what to do. This room here is just wide open. We may be able to plastic this. There's a couple things in here. Yeah, we'll try to at least seal this off so that we can save what's worth saving. Looks like the front room here is okay. Christmas present survived. The bathroom's okay, so there is some intact. I don't know, the house may be able to be saved. I think if we seal off the kitchen, we'll be okay. All right, well, I'm in what's left of the living room, and we are going to try to move a few things to another room that may be able to be saved. A lot of the family mementos and keepsakes were in the other room, so I think we lucked out there. Well, this was the industrial district. It is all completely gone now, along with a lot of the houses on the nicer streets in town. That is the clinic. Not in good shape. So emergency management is here, and they're already giving people aid, which is good. If you folks are seeing this, we could use some help here. Wow.
I'm just glad that these poor people right here, a lot of them don't have anywhere to go that are in these apartments.
Yeah, well, it's amazing that the brick houses seem to have lasted and the brick industrial buildings are all gone. It is an awe-inspiring amount of destruction. I mean, I'm really stunned how much of this it took out. I didn't realize the path was so wide.
I did sleep pretty well.
I didn't sleep much.
Well, I had about
I think
3
you were
hours.
smart.
I had about 3 good hours, and Steve is the one that can't get, he's not good. That's what got hit.
Oh, that's what they were saying about.
Clarkdale got hit.
Okay.
Was the one, not Belmont.
Gee.
Right.
Sure, that's the beginning of the National Guard. Okay, well, for you folks, I was supposed to ship an art piece or two. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to use the cardboard because we've got to try to secure this house as best we can. All right, so I've got to go behind the house and see what's left of the roof. Ooh, I don't think I can go that way. Let me go around. I've got to see what's left of the roof in the one. I mean, as bad as this house is, look how everything else around it is completely obliterated. So we're lucky we have at least a room or two that we can secure. I'm trying to see how much of the roof is gone so that we can decide if we can leave things in one of the center rooms or if they all have to come out. Okay, it looks like the roof over the center room is still pretty intact on one side, but oh, it's all gone in the middle there, so the water's going to come in there. All right. Well, I see what we have to clear. We're just trying to do enough to secure what isn't destroyed in the house, and then we'll figure it out from there. All right, I found one tarp, and since the hardware store lost half of their roof, they are not doling out supplies today, so we're glad we've got something. So I have that window sealed in plastic and the bathroom window. The rooms where the house is missing walls and part of the roof are going to be abandoned, and we are making a wall of furniture here and covering this up so that the weather won't get into the part of the house that hasn't been damaged. So that's what we're working on now, and getting important things like family photos and things that are not replaceable, old quilts the family made, stuff like that. So we're going to just prioritize, do the important things. Everything else is just stuff. We can get more stuff. All right, so this is our makeshift wall that should keep the weather out of the main room for now while we get organized. Things are going in bins and boxes, and we're getting important things like papers and documents. And, well, we're just about done what we can here, I think. They're clearing away the debris along Oak Heights, which was one of the nicer housing areas in town, and you can see it did not do too well. The brick houses seem to have mostly maintained their structure, but not their roofs, and there's everything else. So hopefully a lot of people were able to survive this.
You know, it's wonderful when a lot of people got killed.
I don't think they know yet, Bill, to tell you the truth, how that went. I know a few people are gone, but it looks like a lot of people were lucky.
Wiped that on the mouth.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's a lot of places that are just rubble now. The ones that were not at the top of the hill seem like they did better. Yeah, because there's
That don't look like it.
that looks like it didn't take much.
Knocked the post out.
Yeah, here's the one I did the estate sale in, and it had a big basement, so hopefully everybody in the neighborhood went there. Wow, up here it looks like nothing ever happened.
Yeah, ain't that something?
Don't suppose the power's coming back anytime soon either. A lot of people picking through their stuff. This is a rough deal. I think these pink spray paint marks on the houses are where they've been through and looked for people to make sure that they were all right. Yeah, because they're all marked. And this house sort of survived. Santa Claus made it. This building didn't do real well. See that they're trying to do something up on the roof there. Not sure what they're trying to do. It looks like they're trying to hoist up a board to patch a roof. Well, that's Zeno's grandfather, Bill, and I just took him around and showed him town and what's left of it. He thought only their block had gotten this kind of devastation, but it goes on for blocks and blocks. I'd say probably a quarter to a third of the town is flattened. So I am up here at the top of School Street, and you can see a few houses are still standing, but this is where the tornado went through. It might as well have been a hurricane because there is just nothing but devastation. As far as the eye can see, it went right through the center of the north side of town. We have National Guard coming. There will be a curfew. I don't think we're going to be able to get in or out of town. I had just enough momentary cell phone service to let my family know by text that I was okay. I cannot make a call. We have no way to broadcast this to you. So you're going to see this after the fact, but wow. Well, there's the latest issue of the Dawson Springs Progress, laying sideways on the ground. It is going to take a lot of work to get this place to progress again. We're going to my storehouse. We snuck out of our town. Our town supposedly is walled off and you can't possibly get in, but if you know how to go the back roads, you can, and that's what we did. So we're now going to try to see if my storehouse is okay. We think it was not in the path.
Looks like it went that way.
Because it looks like it went south of the town that my storehouse is in, and that would be a mercy. But we haven't gotten there yet, so we'll find out when we get there. We are back into a swath of tornado damage. This tornado was on the ground for 3 hours through several states.
More than that. I think it was 3 hours, like an hour before it got to us.
Yeah, certainly one of the worst tornadoes on record anywhere, possibly the most devastating. Not lucky for our town, but lucky for them that this is a relatively unpopulated area. You'll definitely see more of this